Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. What a time to be alive as an NFL fan. Trades abound, sheer craziness going on. The Browns, Rams, Dolphins, Patriots, Packers, everybody getting into the mix. And really, it all started with the Alex Smith trade, excuse me, from the Chiefs, and we've gone into trade overload since then, and free agency hasn't even started yet, guys. Teams are getting much more aggressive. It's become more of a NBA like mentality with a lot of these GMs and these organizations completing their end of the season evaluations, getting new coaching staffs in place, and guys going out and being aggressive. A lot of these teams have taken the approach of accumulating multiple draft picks, which means that, if you're somebody like the Bills, you're looking to trade up and really get the guy you want, but you have to move some things around to make it happen. So we'll start with the Tyrod trade going to Cleveland. I like the deal for both sides. I know some people were giving the Cleveland a little flack for trading a very high third round pick, but somebody like Tyrod, he's a quarterback who's a below average starter, but somebody who did lead his team to the playoffs, very competent, and in a better scheme with somebody like a Hugh Jackson, who I know he's like 1-500 over the last however many seasons, but he has proven he can coach quarterbacks. He has proven that when he has some pieces, he can put together a very competent scheme. So I'm excited to see obviously they acquired Jarvis Landry. So now you have Josh Gordon, Jarvis Landry, Corey Coleman, a very good offensive line, and still you have the first and fourth pick in the draft. I would still anticipate Cleveland picking a quarterback, but now they don't. There's not a whole bunch of pressure on whoever they decide to go with. If they go that route, they could go for Saquon Barkley and say, "Hey guys, we're going to pick the best player in the draft," and then at 4, if there's a quarterback there we still like or we still think it's going to be on the board, they could do that. But that's a gamble. Or they take the quarterback and the best defensive player on the board, whether it's Bradley Chubb or somebody like a Minka Fitzpatrick. I know they went DB last year late in the first round with Jabril Peppers, but they could do that again. And the cool thing with Cleveland is they have options. And now bringing in somebody like a Jarvis Landry, you increase the talent on your roster. Jarvis Landry is a very talented player, very, very productive player, and I think he's going to help out the Browns. I think he complements what Josh Gordon does well. I think he complements what Corey Coleman does well. Now, Corey Coleman, he's got to stay healthy, but they have they have Njoku at tight end. They got some weapons, and some, Tyrod, I think he'll be able to produce there for a short period of time. I mean, Buffalo fans like Tyrod at the very, very beginning before things went awry there, but I really like some of those moves. In Cleveland, continue to will and deal. Just now, they traded Danny Shelton to the Patriots. Very shrewd move by the New England Patriots again, guys. Danny Shelton was a very highly renowned first round pick when he came out of Washington, but he ended up on Cleveland, which means he was not developed, wasn't coached. I never thought he got into the best shape conditioning wise and all that. All those things, you have to give the Patriots the benefit of the doubt that if they can get anything out of him, then they've really got a talented force, big, strong force on their defensive line. I actually wanted, as a Cowboys fan, I wanted to get in on somebody like a Danny Shelton that we haven't had. We keep messing around with 280-pound defensive tackles and expecting to win at the point of attack. And then you see teams like the Patriots and the Packers and some of these other guys out here, getting bigger bodies on their defensive lines. Transitioning over, to the Eagles, getting Michael Bennett. I know they're probably going to lose Vinny Curry. I mean, that's what happens when you win Super Bowls. You got to pay people. People will already do for contracts, and I know they traded Torrey Smith as well. And that was another shrewd move by the Eagles, trading Torrey Smith when you knew you were going to cut him and getting a pick. I mean, that's high level stuff right there. Finding a sucker who will take it. Or even somebody who says, you know what, we want this player so bad, or we think high enough of this player, even though you're going to cut him, we want to take him off your hands because we feel like he may have some bidders in free agency. So kudos to the Eagles for pulling that off, and kudos to the Eagles for pulling off the Michael Bennett trade. Their pass rush packages next year are going to be insane, and I'm not looking forward to it. As a Cowboys fan, I know we haven't been in the mix with some of these trades like some people will like us to get into, but the Cowboys, I mean, when it comes to trades, um, it's all about like who's really pulling the trigger and answering the phone and doing the negotiations on our side. I mean, I feel like that's an honest question. If it's somebody like a Will McClay and Stephen Jones, cool. But if it's Jerry, we have to be wary of that. Obviously we were in the news because we franchise tagged DeMarcus Lawrence. Absolutely the right thing to do. Congratulations to him for getting his money, but he still has to prove himself so he can ultimately play himself into a long-term contract and potentially still a team-friendly deal. So totally cool with the DeMarcus Lawrence franchise tag for the Cowboys. But man, and then you see what the Rams are doing. They trade Robert Quinn. They acquire Aqib Talib, Marcus Peters from Kansas City. These guys, and then they trade, now we welcome Alec Ogletree to the NFC East as he joins the New York Giants. So just teams making moves, man. I mean, the Rams, they're gearing up. They feel like they just need to get a couple pieces of dress and they'll be in this. But that division, I mean, the Seahawks are going the opposite direction in my opinion, because I'm seeing right now the Cardinals in the NFC West, David Johnson out here recruiting Kirk Cousins, and that's another destination where Kirk could feasibly look at. The 49ers are probably going to be the front runners for a lot of these guys in free agency. They have money to spend. They have the quarterback in place. They have the head coach in place. I know they just paid Marquise Goodwin. They got money. They have money to spend and really be aggressive after some of these players. So, whether it's like an Allen Robinson, who I expect them to target, or Sammy Watkins, or whoever, some of these players out here that are going to be hitting free agency. Obviously, Richard Sherman's going to be visiting there. He'll likely sign there just through his Stanford ties and being a local guy anyway. But man, I mean, a lot of shakeup in the league, more than normal at this point for sure. And that's going to bleed over into the draft. I mean, as a fan, of my team picking at 18, I want these teams to go quarterback crazy and spend all their resources there, because it leaves better players on the board that will obviously drop because of the value of the quarterbacks for us to scoop up. So I'm excited about that. We'll see how this quarterback class shakes out. We still have to get pro days and guys in shorts going 50 for 50 and doing all that nonsense. But once the smoke settles, I do expect Cleveland to take a quarterback. I think it's obvious now that the Bills will trade up. The only thing I could see is that the Bills potentially going after Nick Foles. Nick Foles is kind of the wild card in all this, because I do feel that if Philly really wants to show their gangster, they can get a first round pick for Nick, maybe even more, to one of these teams that's real desperate. And we still have to see what Minnesota, Denver, teams like that are going to do. All these teams that have playoff rosters that need quarterback help. So Nick Foles is kind of the wild card here, and then we'll see how the picks shake out with the Mayfield, Rosens, Josh Allens, and Sam Darnolds, and even Lamar Jacksons of the world. But crazy trade line talk. You guys tell me what you think was the most shrewd move of the offseason thus far. What trade really has your attention, and what player you think will have an instant impact or potentially be a steal with one of these trades. Hit me up in the comments below, and appreciate you guys as always. Thank you.